Hello everyone. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know we had a pretty good one. Had my son and his wife over. The other two daughters went to other places, and trying to keep the crowds down as much as possible. But been super busy. Haven't had time to get any videos up. I got two that I'm working on to get on Patreon, but I got several pieces of equipment here in the shop that's got to be finished, so I've been spending the time on those. Now this is a piece of equipment that I recently picked up from a family member, and what this is a Sparton model 301 AC. It's an AM radio, and it was made in 1929, so it's got some age on it. And the story on this radio is that it belonged to my wife's grandmother when she stayed in New York. When she got sick, she moved down here to the Carolinas to stay with my wife's mom, and she had brought a bunch of furniture down, and my father-in-law sold everything. Well, my brother-in-law spent many years trying to find this, like 30 years, maybe 35, trying to find this particular radio that was sold, and he finally got up with the guy that had it, and he had this thing stored out in a metal shed behind the house, and it's probably been in there 20-25 years or so. So it took a little battle damage, but I want to see if I can't get this thing back up and running and working like it did when it was made. And something else that we want to do is try to keep most of it as original as possible. Now you can see on the front of it there is a piece right here that's missing and a piece here that's missing. Now all this design stuff it's not cardwood. It is actually compressed wood. I guess they glued it together and heat pressed it in a mold and made those designs, and then tacked them onto the chassis. And you can see there's little pieces there. There's a big piece across the bottom. Then there's another piece right over here that is that compressed wood. Well, over time this wood gets moisture in it from sitting out in the metal shed in the elements, and it starts to warp. And as you see, it just broke in two, and in fact this side is broken right here, and it's sticking out just a little bit, but we'll look at that in just a minute. The good thing is the two missing pieces here and here, I have them. They're actually inside the door of the radio. So let me open the front and let you take a look in it. Now you can see the inside of the 301, and just right here and right here are those two missing pieces. Now you can see the radio face. It's not in that good a shape. The whatever they use, it's not veneer. It's almost like a stick-on. It's got, it's like it's wood grained or something. I think it's a big old sticker that they put on the front of it. It's nowhere, it's not paint. I was sitting there thinking, now, okay, maybe they painted that, but they got it to look like the walnut wood. So I think what I'm gonna do there is clean that off. I'm gonna get a very thin piece of walnut veneer and put back on that, and that whole section slides out anyway, and you'll see that in a moment. But doesn't really look that bad. Yes, it's like I said, it's been out in the moisture, and There's some places on the wood that's got to be repaired. Down here on the bottom, you see I got it sitting on a dolly. This area right here, you can see part of the wood is missing, but over here on this side it's still there. There's a crack in it, so that's got to be you know, glued and put back in. And then if you look at the very bottom up here, you can see some of the veneer hanging off, so that's got to be fixed, mostly glued back up and put back on it. Then you noticed over here on this side there's a round leg, and over here there's only half that leg. So I've got to find a couple of chunks of walnut, one to fix this area with, and then a big piece over here to finish out that leg. And what I'll do is just cut a piece and glue to it, probably put some wooden dowels in it and clamp it together and let it dry, and then take it out and carve it back down. Might could even put that in the lathe. I have turned some wood on the lathe, but that would be easy to put on the lathe and turn it down to get it back round. But like I say, I've got to find some walnut. And you know, years ago there was old wood shops around that did cabinetry and different things, and you could find that there, but you know, them folks are long gone now. So yeah, I'm gonna have to search around and see what I can find. And you can see the big old speaker up here, and I did take some of this apart and inspected it. The speaker cone is in good shape, but the surround that's around it, it's a cloth type material, and it's just about deteriorated. So we'll have to tackle that also. Well, let me turn it around, and I'm having to get about 8 foot away to get the whole thing in the shot. So let me turn the unit around and let you look into the back of it. Okay, there's a rear view of it, and you can see the various labels on it down here. There's some labels on the chassis we'll look at in a minute. But as you can see, the back panel is missing also. It's got 2 dowels that go down into this bottom board, and then it's got clips up here that it's supposed to snap into. And that piece of wood is missing. And I don't know what I'm going to make that out of yet. It's probably going to be made out of some regular wood, and then maybe it would be cheaper just to get walnut veneer and glue onto it. A piece of walnut 1/2 inch thick, that size, you know, it's about 2 by 2 or so. Will probably be pretty expensive to find, but we'll have to look at that and see what we can come up with. If you look on the back, there's not many places where this is happening at, like I showed you on the bottom, but you can see the veneer is separated on the inside, just on this one side, and just a little bit right here on the outside. So we'll have to get something and smear some glue down in there and clamp it up and put it back together, and let it sit and dry. The other side has no problems with it. And there's the big old loudspeaker that they put in it. And you can see it's made in the USA by Magnavox company. First thing you probably notice that just stands right out is those 2 big old lobe style tubes that's in there. There's 4 tubes here in the power converter, and then up front here in this box is 5 more tubes. The little section over here on this side is the tuner section. Now, one thing that you need to know on these type of radios, they don't work like your conventional radios. The tuner section does all the receiving. There's no tubes and nothing in it. It's got 4 or 5 gain capacitor in there, and then it goes directly into this other unit, which is the 4-stage amplifier. Okay, now we're looking down into the radio, and you can see a couple of tabs here. And if I remove these 2 pins, I should be able to slide this out. There we go. So you can see I've already got some wires disconnected, and over here on the side where I didn't pull this unit out. Just I'm looking at it. This cover here removes from the selector unit or amplifier unit, and you can see there's 6 tubes in here. I thought it was 5, but it's 6, and there's several capacitors in here that's going to have to be replaced. Now this is a filter block, and it's got some, I think there's 3 1 microfarad capacitors and 2 microfarad capacitors. Depends on which schematic that you happen to find. Now if you go on the internet and you search for Sparton 301, you'll find a little bit of stuff, but there's not a whole lot of stuff up there. We see we got several chokes here. There's a big old heavy duty iron core power supply or transformer. This resistor over here on the side is not original to the set. Someone put this in to I think lower the voltage. It does have a voltage tap for 110, 120 and 130 volts. Now I thought you would find this interesting. But here under this cover, we take it out, you'll see 2 of these old house style fuses. Looking at this one, I could tell it was blown. You know, it's just a old screw in 3 amp house style fuse. But when I poured it out, I looked down inside. Let me see if I can zoom you in here so you can see it. Yep, that's a penny laying in the bottom. So apparently this fuse had blown somewhere in the past, and someone did the old trick of dropping a penny down in there to make the connections. You know, that is not a good idea to do. And there has been several houses back in the old days that burnt down due to someone jumping out these old fuses. I've seen used coins or aluminum foil. But as you can see, it's an old wheat penny, and it's dated 1925. I know it's hard, I don't have a macro lens for this camera, but yep, she's dated 1925. So for right now, until I start the restoration on it, I'm just going to stick that back down in there. We won't be powering the setup. And again, you know, everything we're going to try to keep in as original as possible. So if these are changed out, there'll be fuses put inside of these that can be changed out. That way it keeps the originality, but you know, there'll be more modern protection on the inside. Now you can see the chassis is still dirty, and it's got some surface rust on it. All this has to come off. Transformers has got to be sandblasted and repainted, and what I'll do is just take the metal shells off in the bell ends and put them in the sandblaster. Same thing with the filter unit. We'll take it apart. You can get this top or bottom off, dig it out, clean it out, put the modern components back in there on the circuit board, and mount it back in. So these three units, the power converter, the tuner section, and the multi-gang stage over here, is bolted to a piece of walnut wood. And even back here on the bottom, there is a place for a speaker. And you can see the tags. Sparton power converter, model 301, 120 volts, 175 watts, 60 cycle. And then there's a another tag here, Autorad Electric Corporation. Again, I got the wiring from the power supply inverter disconnected, because all this has got to be clean. So probably what we're going to do is get all the electronics off and work on those separate. Then I'll work on restoring the cabinet, and I'm going to try to mostly clean and repair. You know, I do not really want to sand it down and restain it. I kind of want to keep the original finish that's on it, and I believe I can do that. Go ahead and remove the screws, and there you can see the tuner section. Now again, like I said, this thing is made different than just about any other radio in the market, but you can see the adjust for each gang. But from the tuner section to over here on this section, there's actually a whisker that comes out of the tuner section that goes into a little piece down here on the bottom of this, and that's what brings the signal in from the antenna connection through the gang stage and then into the amplifier stage, where it amplifies the signal, and then goes over into the power converter. So I thought that was kind of interesting. As you can see, the tuner does work. There's 2 dial cords in this thing, and both of them are still there and working. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now this dial scale is cracked over here, and this stuff is very brittle, and you can see it's discolored and turned yellow. But right here, somebody's, you know, there's no window in the front where it shows what frequency you're on. So somebody back in the day probably stuck their finger in there and pushed this in and got it out of the groove. Well, all this assembly's got to be taken apart and all cleaned and then put back together. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge to work through all this mechanism. So to put everything in perspective here, this is the power converter unit. This is your selector unit. And this is your radio frequency and amplifier unit that actually amplifies each stage that's in it. Now, all your theory on IFs and stuff, you can just about throw out the window with this thing. It's a bit different. But anyway, it should be a very, very fun project to do. And I'll pull this tube here out. And there's no markings on it, but this is a 291, And you can see the socket is just a piece of you know, like a circuit board that sticks in it. So it's got two of the 281s. Looks like the numbers are long gone. Now this base is a little loose on this glass, so let's hope that it hasn't vented its vacuum, because these tubes are going to be a little bit expensive to replace if they have to be replaced. Now, one thing that they tell you, that all tubes in this unit needs to be matched. And you can see that's a 50. Now, finding a matched pair of tubes, like I say, you know, there's these 4, and then there's 6 in the amplifier stage, and that one has 50 written on it. And these are all of them old Phillips. The problem is, with this radio being 1929 to now, even if they were matched when they were put in, they would be no way be matched anymore. They just won't last that long, you know, as a match set. You're looking at a radio that's 91 years old. And then inside here, these are 27s, and you can see they're quite dusty and will have to be cleaned. And you know, here's a small print of the schematic. Now that little whisker wire I was telling you about is right here. This comes from the tuner stage, or what they call the selector, into the RF frequency amplifier. You can see that little whisker here, and we'll get, when we get into restoring the electronics on this, we'll get further into just how this thing works. Now over here on the power converter, there's one resistor here that doesn't look too healthy. I don't know if just that the coating has come off of it, or it got hot here and burned that off. So that'll probably be, you know, that's something that's going to have to be changed out. Even if the resistor tests good, it's still going to have to be changed. So, you know, a good thing about it is the way this thing is kind of modular. There's a lot of this stuff, you know, like this lead. Now, it's going to be kind of tough to get this board up out of this cage over here. And when we get into the restoration of it, I'll show you more about it then. But this thing is only held in by 2 screws, and this old cable over here is it's in good shape, but again, it is old, and it's going to be a little tough getting this out so we can get all that clean and clean those electrolytes. But the good thing about this kind of stuff here, I can throw it right in the sandblast unit, and my sandblaster right now, I have medium grade soda in it, so we can just drop this stuff right in the sandblaster and clean it right up and take it out, wash it down and repaint it. Nothing special about it, and it'll make it look good. And it'd be nice if it wasn't in this kind of shape, you know, so we could just clean it, but the parts will have to be repainted along with this whole complete chassis. So the best thing to do, you know, take it all apart, strip it down, repaint all of it, and put it back in there. That way it'll look like it did when it come from the factory, and not really, you know, changing anything. Now, speaking of the sandblast unit, you can see this is one of those Harbor Freight sand units, and I am using the soda in it. And when I was using sand, it wasn't no problem, but the problem with soda is that it will stop up your vacuum system. Now, I don't have a reclaimer air filter system on this. I use a vacuum on it, and like I say, it works good with sand, but using soda, that thing would stop up a 10-gallon shop vac in just a minute. So to to try to overcome that, this little modification I made, and this is called a Cyclone unit, and you can buy them anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks. I've got $5 in this at the most. Just a bucket from Lowe's with a lid on it. The hose came off the other shop vac when it quit, and you can see the hose comes in here at an angle. This connects to the side of the sandblast cabinet. I actually had the fittings off the old cabinet, so I just the old shop vac, so I just mounted it to the cabinet on the port, and your vacuum cleaner goes into here like this. So when it pulls the air out of the cabinet, it brings it in and gets a cyclone effect. So all your debris falls into the bucket. Your air comes out here that goes to your vacuum, and you get no dust or any sediment into your vacuum. As you can see, everything gets trapped inside the bucket. So you get very, very little debris into your vacuum system. Okay, so going handheld here, you can see this piece here has came off. And if you notice, you see the tip of this is curved. Same thing with this piece, where this piece is broke off from. And if you look around the top of these, you can see they got a little bow in them. The rest of it's pretty flat. It's just on the edges, the four corners. You can see where that one's bowed out. Came away from the cabinet. This piece here is trying to bow on the top. And then when you get here, you can see how those are bowed out. Now, if this would have been regular wood, we could just put them in some hot water, boil them, and lay them out and put something heavy on it and flatten them back down. But since it's compressed wood, we can't do that. But what we're going to end up doing is steaming them, and then take them out and put them in a press and let them dry out. And the steam will not make the compressed wood come apart. And looking down here on the bottom, you can see where that piece is broke off and gone. The good thing about it is we have a pattern on this side. You can see the veneer has separated on the bottom here, and then here's that half a leg that we got to reproduce. And for this piece and that piece, I'm going to have some walnut to fix that with. Well, there you go, guys. Have a look at the old Sparton 301 from 1929. And it'd be nice to get this thing back up and going, making it look like it's supposed to. Again, there's the one of the pieces that came off that's been broken. Here's the other little coat of arms symbol. If you look at it, you can see the slight bow in it, and that's what happens. This wood gets wet and it bows and comes off. You can see where the little brad nails was holding it on. So yeah, we'll have to get this here and steam it and get them all back flat. So this piece of equipment will not be fixed overnight. I'm looking at probably over a year in time. It looked horrible when I first brought it in here. It was so dusty and dirty, and I just went over, did a little cleaning. You can see the side of it. Looks pretty good. Not bad at all. And all I cleaned it with, after getting the dust off, was some of this old English scratch cover for dark wood, and that's all it was cleaned with. Just put it on a cloth and wipe it down. But you know, it's got little paint spots here and there on it. But to me, I'm not worried about getting those paint spots off, because that's part of the history. You know, I want to try to keep as much of this thing original. I don't want it brand new. I want it to be working and look nice. And I've looked on pictures online. I still haven't figured out what color these designs are. I know they're a little different than the wood. I think the background is supposed to be a matte black, but you can see all the black is just about gone off of it. But there's only a few pictures online, so I've really got to take them and blow them up and look at it real good. Anyway guys, that's it for now. Just wanted to throw this up. Something real quick and easy to get out. And everyone be safe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.